All right, fans of Deep Space Nine, it's time to come to the front of the line for a little bit. We need to talk. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. The fifth episode of Starfleet Academy is here. Guys, it's effing brilliant. Like it's a brilliant episode. Perhaps because of my nostalgia for Deep Space Nine, it is automatically my favorite of anything that they've done with the Starfleet Academy show. But in addition to that, I love how this show is taking anytime they switch character focus and talk about a new of the characters, they make the show feel slightly different, and it doesn't feel tonally like the episode before. And so what they're doing and showing this through the eyes of Sam and how they do like the cross out of the CBS at the very beginning, how she's very childlike, but also extremely immensely powerful in what she can and can't do and can't see. You get all of that recreated in the way that this episode is shot and getting like overlays. It almost feels a little bit like if anyone saw something like Scott Pilgrim versus the World, it's very stylized, but it works for this character and it works for this episode. I don't want every episode to feel like this, but it definitely works for Sam. This episode is called Series Acclimation Meal, which is for Sam. It's her episode. And we start off learning a little bit about how long she's been here and what her purpose is here at Starfleet Academy. She's existed about 700 plus days. She comes from this planet of Cask, where her makers are sentient. They used to be alive or tangible beings, but in that time, humans, organisms, people who had bodies, treated them and wanted them to be subservient and just be basically slaves, servants. And they wanted no parts of that. So they disappeared and then became sentient beings. And now they have sent Sam into Starfleet Academy to study, to learn, to get as much information about the organisms and the people who are organic so that they can see if it's okay to come back out of hiding again and to kind of reassess and put themselves back up into the real world. And so that they can trust the humans and organics, if you will. Because of that, she has been titled and gifted the task of being the emissary of her people, and to sort of that's a term that connects people, and it's what do you call it, a diplomatic, like a person who basically is the representative of their people. So she's the representative of these sentient beings, and she's put there to sort of with this purpose. Because of that, when you hear the term emissary, especially if you are a fan of Star Trek lore, specifically Deep Space Nine, I got a tingle in my spine. I was like, oh, wait a minute, I haven't heard that term in quite some time. Where are we going with this? And we are going exactly where where you think they are. And this episode, in addition to being a study about Sam, is also a love letter to Benjamin Sisko, played by Avery Brooks. So this is sort of a love letter to him and to Deep Space Nine, kind of as a whole. So what we're seeing is Sam sort of going through the process to learn, one, what an emissary is, and it leads her down the path to eventually get to Benjamin Sisko. So we start off the cute way of her kind of processing and seeing things and just seeing what these classmates and what these world folks doing. And she's sort of acclimating and getting to ingratiate herself and care about these classmates and things. And it's helping her to become a better person. But it is not doing what the sentient folks have asked her to go there to do. And so she's taking courses and classes and learning stuff. She learns music. They're like, music is inefficient to us. That doesn't help us connect to what it is that these organics are actually looking for and how to trust them. Now, I will argue that music will make you feel things and make you change things all up and day, all the live long day. And so it's clear that these sentients don't quite know fully, when we see that as the episode goes on, don't quite fully know what makes humans tick. But music is a massive part of that. It is for me. Like there's not a day when I don't go listen to some type of music. But they think it's a useless piece of information. We then see a little cool thing where we kind of catch up on the other stories that have sort of already circulated throughout Starfleet Academy, but through the eyes of Sam. We see Darum and the War Council still going tit for tat. Like still trying to create territories within the school. We do get to continue and sort of keep seeing that Kyle, who's on the War Council, and Jaden are having a connection. And while they briefly mentioned it earlier, it's not hit over the face, but she mentions how there's love in the air. She's like, I love love around the two of them. So she is aware of what's happening with the pheromones of those two. She gets it. And then we see Caleb being all googly eyed over uh, Tarima from a distance, and they're just giving little stolen looks at each other and laughing and giggling. And she's like, "Why don't you just go bang?" Like she is a very matter of fact person, as most of these sentient beings, these droids, these folks are. There is no pulling the punches, and so she just goes up to him and both like, "Why aren't y'all banging? Like y'all want to? Like I can see it from afar. Like this part doesn't compute. I am confused by this. I can't understand you guys." And if I can't understand this, I don't understand anything. Like you guys don't make sense to me. Just do what it is you guys want to do and get it over with. And so she goes back to her people. It's like I don't understand them. There's a lot of things that is confusing and unwritten that I am trying to further get under the hood of. And they're like, "Cool. Here's what I want you to do. There is a course there in the school that we need you to take. It's called Confronting the Unexplainable. Go study that course. Go there." And she's like, "Well, hold on. It's the middle of the semester. They're not going to just let me into the class." And they're like, "You don't have a choice. Go do it and go do it now." They're very much for a group of people who are upset that organics made them servants. They are doing the same thing to Sam right now. They are making her be a servant and for her to live out the point that she's supposed to be doing, which is a little bit of what kind of comes back into what the emissary position means as a whole. But she enrolls or tries to enroll in class. She gets there, and the teacher there, Isla, is kind of like, the semester's here. Like we're not taking any new class, any new students. She's like, "You can join next semester." She's like, "No, I need this now." And the teacher sort of plays the game a little bit. She sees something, what it is, unsure, but she sees something. She's like, "Look, okay, cool. Here's what it is. I need you to go study Cisco. Tell me all about him. Tell me what makes him tick. I need you to find out what happened to Benjamin Sisko." And that's before the credits. And I was like, "You sons of my goose hairs on my arm started tingling." I'm like, "This is a Deep Space Nine episode. What is happening?" Because I often feel, as much as I care about Deep Space Nine, it is sort of the bastard child of the Star Trek series because it's the one that didn't have ship going to planet to planet. It was everybody sort of came into them, and it sort of gets forgotten. And I'm glad that this sort of became a love letter to that show. So in this, we learn that Cisco, doing his emissary position, basically sacrificed himself and went into the celestial fires to never really be seen again. And so tons of Bajorans were saved for this. He saved millions and millions of people, but he was never seen again. And so he has become sort of this deity to Bajorans and the planet of Bajor. Um, and Cisco has been considered MIA from Starfleet. They're just like, yeah, he's gone. They didn't pronounce him dead because they never found a body, but they also know that he's not an active member of Starfleet. So Sam feels like, I need to find out what happened. Like, did he combust, or does he exist on a multi-dimensional plane? For her, it doesn't track or make sense that somebody would just like disappear. She needs facts, tangible things, and spirits and gods and all that stuff don't quite compute, or don't compute enough where she can take that back to explain that to her makers. So to get further information, she is told to sort of, hey, you should go join this Bajoran club. So she does, and offends everybody in that club. She goes in there, and it's not her purposely trying to do so. She just doesn't know how to understand that they see this and it's a religion for them. Um, she just storms in and like, has anybody seen Cisco? Like since he's died, or what happened? Because I need to know what's going on. Like, and use facts. Don't use any of that mumbo jumbo religion nonsense that you guys believe in. Just tell me what's going on. So she gets sent to Nala, understandably so. And Nala's kind of like, look, I know your heart's in the right place. I know you're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing. You should continue to ask questions and should continue to be fact behind it. I think that's important here is what they're saying is like, yes, that is the Bajoran religion. That's their faith. That's their belief system. if you want to understand that, you have to ask questions. You have to pull it apart. You have to understand and take from it what you can. It's not all going to make sense to you, but you can't go in being disrespectful. So ask more questions, but do it with a little bit more tact and a little bit more respect going around. And so Nala points Sam to the Cisco Museum, which actually exists in New Orleans, but they have a virtual version of it that they can access from here. Of course, it's in New Orleans. Um, so many Easter eggs in this freaking episode. There is a B story that is not that important for me anyway. I didn't care that much about it, but it's Aki and Chancellor Cleric from the War College basically have to are mending their relationship and their friendship because something occurs. He's trying to impress another chancellor that's coming in, and Nala decides to help him because he seems very nervous, very sweating, very uncomfortable. With the help of her, Doctor, and Reno, they sort of come up with a dinner and to sort of make it so that he can be more calm. In that meeting, though, Cleric explains to Nala that, like, hey, I don't trust you, and I've been sort of standoffish towards you because you just abandoned us. You abandoned Starfleet. And later on, she has to sort of explain, like, look, yes, I can see how it comes across to you that I just left you guys and I sort of abandoned you. But there was a purpose for it. There was a reason for it. And I think anytime that something like that happens, you should study or ask why the thing happened. It's like I didn't just abandon. I had a reason for it. And one day that may come out, but that seemed to be enough for Cleric to kind of dissolve a little bit because from knowledge standpoint, it's like a part of why the War College and Starfleet are so apart is because the two of us are so apart. Like they feel your energy towards me. And so we need to repair that. And they do sort of come together and have like a little bit of laughing moment. They feel like they're becoming more comfortable around each other. Back on story A, the main mission of this, Sam goes to the museum and learns that Sisko was prophesized to be the emissary from birth. From his God's made him. This was his mission. This is what he was pointing. He had a human mother, Sarah, I believe. Yes, Sarah. And in that information, it makes you question, like, hold on, wait. So we just got to do what we're told. Like he wasn't allowed to have another option. Like it gets into the point, like, hey, is my lot in life what I'm supposed to do destined? Like, do I not have any say in it? Do I not have any choices, any chances to change anything or make it my own? And it's a question that she's getting in real time after only being here for 700 days. It's a lot where we as humans kind of get time to sort of digest that information or feel that information or take what you will from that information. And so she gets to a video where she follows the family tree of Sisko and comes upon a video of Jake Sisko, which we get to see the actor who played Jake Sisko back. And he talks about his father in the terms of a human. And like the emissary piece isn't isn't a isn't what he knows or understands from his father. He's like, yeah, I found that out later, but my dad he was a good human. He was a good husband. Eventually, he was a good father. He was a good captain. Like he did all the things that a human would do. He loved cooking. He was great at it. He loved jazz. He loved music. He loved living. And in addition to that, he was an emissary. And so for him, one didn't supersede the other. They sort of combined him to make Sisko the whole being and whole person that he was. I couldn't help but see the Creole Soul Kitchen, Cisco Creole Kitchen sign that was in the back. That made my eyes smile and like water. I started watering up. You guys understand, Deep Space Nine means a lot to me. Facts alone, Sam realizes the facts alone won't solve this. So she goes back to Professor Isla, who tells her that our choices determine who we are. They make up who we are. What determines our choices are what we love. And so Cisco was very much a lover of music, a lover of cooking. She knew of the times when Cisco would grow his tomatoes in his own quarters and grow them, and they would be these most delicious tomatoes, which I remember that was so well. It took me back to my childhood. Um, she gives her that information. Sam's like, okay, got it. So there's a duality to Cisco and there's a duality to emissaries that should sort of be present. But she's being told from her sentient beings, hey, do this, this is what your purpose is. Don't F around anything else. So she goes back to her makers, and the makers are not pleased. They call her in. And there's like, look, you're not enrolled in the course that we told you to enroll in. Like, what's going on? And she's like trying to explain that it's a semester thing. They're like, we don't want to hear any of that. You got a week. You got a week to find out what the hell we need to do from organics immediately, or we're going to pull you out of that school and just put you on the shelf and never have you go back out again. So then we see a cool little thing where she has like a timer going where she knows how much time she has left uh, before it all shuts down. What's cool here, there's a sequence where the kids, she's cooking and doing some of the stuff, using some of the recipes that Cisco had. She's passing that down and making things her own. Um, and they're like, "Oh, this is good stuff." They love it. It's all good comfort food. The kids eventually go out on to a club, and Caleb is able to sort of mess with Sam's system to get her to be able to feel out like she's drunk. She takes it a little too far and gets really wasted. And after that night of being drunk and a good talk with the doctor, who was kind of disappointed that she is not taking her role of being the one person to represent her people as serious as she probably should, as far as he feels. She has to go back to the professor and like, hey, look, I'm unsuccessful in what I'm doing. Nothing's working. And Professor shares a book because in the study she realized that Jake was a great writer. And one of his things that he sort of got passed down was like he was a writer. And if we know anything about Deep Space Nine, Benjamin consistently told Jake to keep writing. Like that's what he should be doing. He should be writing. He should be writing. So he wrote a book. The book was never published, but the person who does have the book is Professor Isla. She shares the book with Sam, and Sam opens it and sort of has an interaction with Jake. And Jake feels that that's her sister. Like he calls her sister, "Hey sis," and they have a good conversation. And in that conversation, it is learned that his dad did what was needed for the prophets. Like yes, he did everything that he was supposed to do for the prophets, but he did it his way. He made choices. The things that he did in life, he did them his way. There was a piece of land that he bought. He was told not to get married. He did it anyway. He still made sure that his duties and whatnot for the prophets were handled, but he still lived his life. He still loved jazz. He still loved music. Food. He still did the things that made him who he was, and find the love that he could as a person. But he still did what he was supposed to do. And so there's this duality that sort of exists that Sam is starting to realize that she can kind of have both. Like she's not going to disarm and throw away her emissary duties, but she is still going to live and be a person and grow and love these people, these classmates that she has. And so Sam goes back to Isla with that information. It's like, how long did you have this book? It's like, I've had this for a very long time. Jake just didn't want to publish it, but he wanted it to be written and to be done. It's in there that Sam questions, like, hold on, I do have a question because the tomato growing in his quarters was nothing that anybody else knew. Like, it's not on any records. Nobody was aware of this. How did you come to that information? And Isla reveals that she is a Trill, and that she has a Trill mark on her left ear, and that she is a Dax symbiont. And if anybody knows from Deep Space Nine, the Dax symbiont has existed for years and years and years and years, and has passed from one host to another. It is now with Professor Isla, which means that she has all the memories of everything that has existed before. And Dax is very much a close friend and mentor to Benjamin Sisko. You sons of bitches, you tie it all together and just make me feel so whole. I love this. I can't get enough of this episode. Isla tells Sam, like, cool, you're going to be enrolled next semester. We got you. You're going to be a part of this. And she says that Cisco would have loved you, like, because you ask questions, you ask the things, and are willing to love and learn life, and that is something that Cisco stood for 100%. So Sam goes back to her makers and tell them to kick rocks. Like, look, I'm going to do what it is that you want me to do. I'll be the prophet, but I'm going to need you guys to stop hailing me and bringing me back in. When I have something to report to you guys, I'm going to let you guys know. Until then, kick rocks. I'm going to hang out with my friends. I'm going to learn life. I'm going to learn things. I'm going to learn everything that I can to make myself a better person and to make us a better people. But until then, deuces. Don't bother me again. And then we get a voiceover from like basically a Stardate book, but from Benjamin Sisko, Avery Brooks' actual voice, which adds even more just love to to this episode, and then you finish off with a thank you, Avery. Which, Jesus, yeah, this. I know people hate this show. Whatever, I don't care. This episode was effing brilliant, and I love that someone took the time to just show a little bit of love to Deep Space Nine, was specifically to Benjamin Sisko, because I do feel like that show somehow, a lot of it is because it was on the air the same time as the Next Generation. They were both well watched, but I just feel like Deep Space Nine doesn't get the reverence that it should. And for me, it is I love that more than I do Next Generation. Not by much, but I do. And a lot of it is because Cisco, I could relate to a character that sort of looked like me, and that was important to a young kid at that time. So brilliant episode. I loved it. I love that we learned so much about Sam, and I love that in this she learned that, hey, yes, your story may be destined. Yes, you may have a lot in life or a purpose in life, but you can pivot. You can find pieces of life, pieces of joy, things that people to love, fruit to smell, fruit to eat, music to listen to. You can find all that to make you who you are, and then as you go along and still do the job that you've been put there to do, you can make choices through the experiences that you have to make those choices, that much better. What did you guys think about this episode of Starfleet Academy? Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on X at Hollywood ADI. You can hit us up on email at hollywoodalreadydidit@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name. That's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the place podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.